Hi everybody, welcome to No Story Sacred. If you've never listened before, basically we're four siblings who grew up talking about the art of storytelling. Now that we're adults, we're still talking about it and we're inviting you to join the conversation. I'm Alex, and I like dragons.
I'm Kat, and I like flowers.
I'm Brendan, and I like villains. Ha!
Oh.
I'm Pippin, and I like letting go of people.
Oh, you do realize that there was also the love option.
I do.
She said what she said.
Today, we're talking about a story idea by Kat's elder daughter. Not to be confused with Kat's elder otter.
Listen, Penelope the otter is not part of this, and I refuse to have her spoken of on this podcast.
Do we need to come up with a, how do you call it? Fake name for your kid?
I mean, if you want to.
Well, because we probably shouldn't use her real name.
A nom de plume?
Call her, Ponsonby. I call her Ponsonby all the time.
Ponsonby?
Yeah, and it's gonna upset her, which is even funnier.
Wow.
Okay, so I'm on board.
Ponsonby. I've been calling her Ponsonby since she was a baby.
Oh, man. Ponsonby, if you listen to this later, I was not a part of that. And I want you to know that. Even though I am going to be calling you that from now on.
It's a great name. And I'm so proud I really named her that. That's definitely her real name.
Yes.
Ponsonby.
All right. So what did Ponsonby have to say?
The idea given to Kat through text was a children's book about adventure to find a lost flower, how to let go of people, how to find love, to defeat villains, and domesticizing dragons.
To be fair, that domesticized dragons part came out of left field. But you know what? She's got the soul of a writer. You gotta throw in some plot.
And also, dragons are cool.
Dragons
That's
are cool.
true.
Rule of cool, man.
For the longest time when I was young, if I wanted to find a book to read, I'd be like, all right, which one has dragons?
That's because you imprinted on the Enchanted Forest Chronicles.
I mean...
And I refuse to feel shame about that.
Legit. Listen, I already know that when I grow up, I want to have a big sign that says, none of this nonsense, please, in front of my door.
Wow. Really, this is why some of the rest of us need houses, so we can have the sign, none of this nonsense, please.
None of this nonsense, please, is like the number one thing. I've been living my life by that for like the last 10 years, and it's worth it.
Would that repel missionaries?
If you just pointed at it strongly.
Don't make me tap the sign.
So has Ponsonby seen How to Tame Your Dragon?
Yes. Well, she may have seen the second one, weirdly. But she has seen one of them. She likes dragons. She finds it very sad. So, sad is sometimes hard.
Yeah.
Never mind the fact that she watched all of She-Ra and all of the Dragon Prince and all that. Just sometimes, things ping her. That being said, if Uncle Alex says that she should watch How to Train Your Dragon, I mean, that's got value.
Yeah.
I like how you then don't say it.
Hey, listen. She can make her own choices.
Earning some points there, I see.
Listen, part of this episode is just the rest of us trying to get Ponsonby to like us more.
So, with the domesticization of dragons, I'm just going to hop right in there. Are we talking about the thousands of years of selective breeding, and that eventually they got us from wild wolves that will like as much to eat us as to sleep next to us, to to
a dragon pug?
Oh. To be fair, that's kind of that's the way Terry Pratchett's Discworld books did it. There was the original dragons, and then there were, by the time you get to the books themselves, most dragons are largely just
lap dragons,
chemical fueled cigarette lighters.
I can't breathe well, and that's by design.
Yeah.
I thought the case of the dragons in Discworld, well, the lap dragons in Discworld were that they were really just a swamp lizard birds that had happened to be markedly similar to the mythical dragons.
To be fair, I don't know enough about the breeding lines of Discworld.
Lady Ramkin would know.
Lady Ramkin would know, the real hero of the story. Well, wait a second. Let's rewind a little bit.
Uh-huh.
So, she very helpfully gave us the themes, the goal. We always talk about the task. We always talk about the task. The task
You
is
always
defined.
talk about the task.
Brendan mentioned it once. Now it's a we thing. So it's a children's book. She's around middle grade. So technically children could involve, from picture book up, but middle grade is a specific, marketing thing. It's before YA. It's for basically junior high raters. And, so that gives us sort of an idea here, maybe. There's a task. There's vaguely a genre. It's an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And a fantasy if dragons are involved.
Yeah, well, yeah. There's how to let go people and how to find love. I would say that those two are themes.
Yeah.
To defeat villains.
Antagonist.
That's your antagonist.
Yeah, standard.
And domesticized dragons is, how we always end up trying to throw in, that last, little twist to add some flavor to something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's where I feel like that is. Because even when I was reading it, it came out of left field.
Do we mean domesticate dragons?
Listen, what she wrote
was domesticized. To be fair, she did misspell it. But she's also, 11.
Yeah.
So.
I just want to make sure that listeners know that, yeah, we know.
I want listeners to know that I didn't.
I am fully committed to domesticize.
But, if it makes you feel better, we can say domesticate. It's, it's one or the other. The idea, I'm pretty sure, is bringing dragons from the wild, in from the cold.
The dragon who is out in the cold.
Oh my gosh!
Well, let's establish that first, because that seems like setting details, and that can help inform the world that we're dealing with.
Nice.
So if
okay.
we have domestic dragons, what else is true? If this is true, what else is true?
Or rather, if we are in the process of domesticating dragons. Because we have domestic dogs now.
Yeah.
Are we domesticating the dragons, or the dragons domesticating themselves?
Oh, are they cats or dogs?
Yeah.
Dogs.
Fuck off.
Cats.
How to Train Your Dragon already did cats.
Oh, darn it. You're right.
When you're training dragons, you're obviously going to be training them as beasts of burden because of their sheer size.
So you're talking about horses?
Well, if you think about it, so I was listening to a podcast the other day.
What?
Yeah, I know. It's so unusual.
No one listens to podcasts.
It was actually one that Ponsonby recommended, so this all goes full circle. But they were talking about why do dogs look so incredibly different from wolves and from each other. And apparently there's a lot of discussion about the history of domestication, and when exactly dogs were domesticated and how they were domesticated. But one of the early uses was beasts of burden, pack animals. But one of the things I've always found very interesting is that dogs were basically domesticated to be tools. And you can see the kinds of things that people needed dogs for based on the kind of actions they do.
Yeah, hunting dogs tend to be fairly small and have in order to get through burrows.
Well,
not all of them.
Not
Not
all.
all of them. For instance, the lion hunting ones, fairly large. What are they called? They're ridgebacks. There's something ridgebacks. And they are sweethearts. Huge brains. So smart.
Well, basically, depending on what you're hunting, the shape of the dog is what was selectively bred to really help out with that. So, if you're, say, in a field with thick grass and your dog is tracking down whatever game you just shot or whatever, or rousing ducks, who knows. You want to be able to see where the dog is so you know where to go. And so that's why, say with beagles, as a example.
For example.
That's why they can have that little paintbrush tail that they tend to keep up. So you see the little paintbrush. Woo.
Oh, I actually read a really great, there was a lot of commentary about the recent Cruella, about, and a movie trailer, which is unnecessary, but that's a whole different discussion. And people were talking about Dalmatians. And somebody pointed out that Dalmatians were, like, they make terrible pets. But that's really not what they were intended for.
Nope.
They were intended to be lights and sirens on fire trucks before there were lights and sirens.
Yeah.
They're there to they're carriage dogs. They're there to run along and make sure that, horses don't run into each other. They're loud and barky and bitey. And they're visible. That's their entire deal.
Humans don't run into this carriage! Ah!
Back off, horses, back off!
I got a knife!
Yeah, basically. So...
You got, some dogs that are just literally meant to be, draft animals, pulling wagons, pulling people in sleds, depending on your, region of choice.
Huskies in snow are the happiest things in the known universe.
As opposed to my dog, who is not happy in snow.
Oh, I mean, same.
Oh, and then there's retrievers. Literally, it's in the name. What do? They go get things, and they won't eat them themselves. But, also if they're supposed to go into lakes, they might have webbed little feet. And they have weird undercoats so that they don't get, all that.
So, looping back to the point.
What?
There's a point?
This is why people think we're the same cat.
So we have domesticating dragons. We could be trying to breed these dragons for all sorts of interesting uses. One thing that just comes to mind right away that I think would be immensely useful to have a dragon for is doing fire lines on wildfires that happen.
I love that. That's nice. Yeah. Transport. Flying transport.
Yeah.
They become the trucking industry.
So that dragon is very, very large wings. Not exactly agile.
Nope. They're cargo. They're cargo ships.
Wait, they're they're the fantasy equivalent of helicopters, the big cargo helicopters, cranes.
Yes.
Wait, so this helps inform the world. We have tall cities in this world if we have dragons helping lift stuff up onto higher levels.
Ooh.
And flowers don't grow that high.
They don't. Ooh. Wait, but let's go back a little bit further. So, Bren, you were talking about fire containment, right?
Yep.
Fire lines. The other thing that helicopters frequently do during big forest fires is what?
Water and sand drops.
Exactly. And Bren, you're an engineer. You can rig up something to drag some water from a lake over to a fire on a dragon, right?
Yeah, it's called a bucket.
I thought Brendan's of course, naturally. I've actually already drawn up the plans. Just in case. So, to me, I'm hearing a lot about fire being an issue. Australia?
I've heard of it. I'm not entirely sure it exists, but...
You've never seen it, but you've heard. So
Seems
maybe
fake.
One, they have a fire season, which I think is just why.
Dude, we have a fire season.
Shh. But more importantly, they have eucalyptus trees which explode and send
Australia's
oil.
just hardcore.
And send oil, burning oil everywhere.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
And that's part of their thing. And that's why you can't have certain kinds of trees in living spaces there, in communities, because strangely they're the explodey kind.
How odd.
And if they get too hot, they will cause a big problem for your community. My coworker was saying that she had one in her front yard. Yeah, got grandfathered in. But anyway, so what if this was a world, or at least an area of this world? Because let's remember that a world is not a single country, regardless of what Star Trek tells us.
What?
Nonsense.
I'm from the South Continent. Oh, okay. And that was a big leap forward for Voyager.
I'm from the Fire Nation.
Oh my god, will the Fire Nation attack?
Just that one time. But it was a doozy.
Did everything change?
Actually, no.
Yeah, that's what you think.
Yeah.
Fire Nation was always dicks. Whoa!
So what if this was an area, a country, whatever, where they get regular fires, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So they are incentivized to domesticate dragons. And they're working at it, okay? Maybe not everywhere is, but they super are. But it's still in the process. So, like, maybe they're really ornery like camels. Camels are pretty good, though. But you have to be really careful with how you treat them, otherwise they will just dump all your stuff. Pippin, I heard you gasp.
No, it wasn't a gasp.
What was it?
It was a judgment.
Because I brought in camels?
Yep.
Listen, it's almost like I like them. First of all, what do we think of this idea? And then second of all, why do we need to find a flower? If there's fires all over the place, the flower is already an issue.
Well, they've got tall, like, spire cities.
Which I like.
Yep, love it.
And apparently everything else is on fire all the time.
Another good reason to have tall cities, actually.
Yeah.
Sure.
Get you above the smoke. That's just what happens.
The fire climbs, so there's still a danger there.
Oh yeah,
Well,
there's
you'd have
always...
Yeah, I mean, that means that the lower levels are probably made of something else. Ooh, who lives in the lower levels?
Yep. Inherent class inherent class inequalities.
Yep.
Like, and you've got some dragons who are specialized in making fire breaks.
Yeah.
Like digging,
You know what?
digging.
If the people who are being affected by the fires, the people who live in the lower levels, right? They're the ones, I bet, who are working with domesticating the dragons. Because they're the ones who actually care. Because who else would?
Oh.
Yeah. Which is why maybe that's why they need whatever this flower is.
Oh, the flower? The flower is like a dragon equivalent to catnip, or like
that'd be nice.
Something to aid in the help make the dragons more docile.
Or, I mean, like, yes, let's put a pin in that because I want to think about that a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But we're sort of pointing out here, we're sort of narrowing in on maybe who our character might be, who our main character might be. Because I'm thinking that maybe she, and I'm going to go with she, because of course I am. Well, because Ponsonby makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if she lives and what if her family is part of one of these lower level, working families? You know, the people who are trying to maintain the fire control, because frankly it affects their lives. But the people who are also hired to do stuff like the building and whatnot. And they are maybe traditionally also dragon handlers. But the dragons that are best domesticized at this point. So let's say it's earlier on, right? Remember how you guys were talking about how, dogs pack animals? Like that was sort of the first round.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
So what if they've figured out how to have the big transport dragons, right? The ones who can build tall, right?
Yeah, the big
So you
cities.
can get them to go up and down.
Yeah.
But they are not controlled, but definitely assisted with this flower, right? Which means that the people who are invested in this building management to get away from the fire are the ones who are largely in control of access to these flowers, right? Maybe they have their own sky gardens.
Yes, okay? I love sky gardens.
Yes. Okay. But people below were like, we still have to deal with the fires. And they're realizing that, we could technically maybe domesticate dragons, do some breeding on our own to assist with this fire issue. But they don't have the flowers for it. Where did the flowers come from? If they can start their own gardens or if they can find a source for them. Now, if this was an adult book, you could get all sorts of things like, it's now time to be a spy on the upper levels and do corporate espionage and
political
whatnot.
Intrigue.
Exactly.
And do a heist.
Yeah.
A flower heist.
To be fair, a heist is pretty great. We can save that for later. But this is a kid book. So what if a kid's like, you know what? These flowers came from, there's a legend, right? There's a legend about these flowers and I'm going to go and find where they are, where they grow naturally.
I've had a thought.
What's your thought?
Uh-oh.
Fight me. So, here's what I'm thinking. This book is supposed to be how to let people go, how to find love, defeat villains.
Yes. Get our themes in here.
That's the three of them. I think the three are connected, right?
Yeah.
Because I think the villain is a friend of our protagonist, who she doesn't realize the villain at the start.
Oh, classic.
Maybe they have the garden that has the flower and is unwilling to help because they don't actually, they're an upper class person. So they don't realize the plight of the lower classes, so to speak. And refuses to acknowledge, and so will not help, and it actually becomes, terrible about it. So you have to let go of that person, because you have to let go of people who are harmful for you. That's just self-care. And the love you find is the love for yourself.
Yes. And the respect of common human dignity.
And of dragon dignity.
Does this antagonist kind of follow along for a while? Like, kind of, I'm here as your friend, but, we should really turn around now. It's dangerous. But, they have a vested interest to not actually find the flower.
I mean, on the one hand, yes, that makes sense story-wise. I mean, in terms of, characters and, with this adventure, it's always good to have, the foil with you. I wonder whether or not that works. Okay, what if the towers are sort of, clannish? Okay? So if you live in the bottom of one of these towers, you have been historically the ones building that tower. If you live in the top, you're the people who historically live in the top. And so that's how our literally lower level character knows this upper level character because they've kind of grown up together.
I have an idea.
Do it.
Okay. So you know how the upper levels there have the sky gardens that are growing this flower?
Mm-hmm.
How many of you know about the current problems affecting modern bananas?
Ooh.
They've only been able to do cloned clippings of the original flower that they got from whatever this legendary place is. And a disease that is revealed halfway through is affecting the crops. So we don't learn about this initially. It's like a closely guarded secret that the villain character knows, and why she has a vested interest in joining along our hero in finding this legendary flower.
Okay, wait. Let me actually rewind a little bit. I think that'd be good for an adult story. I worried that a middle grade kid, which is what I believe our main character needs to be, because that's kind of what middle grade does. I'm not sure they would know to keep it a secret.
Here's my thought. Building off of Bren's thing, their parents know.
There you go.
They don't. They're all for their friend at the start. It's yeah, let's do this. They find out the secret.
Yes.
And then, not unreasonably for a child.
Yeah.
Side with their parents against their friend.
Oh, which can be heartbreak, and that gets the letting go of people.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you have to grow up. Growing up is hard, guys.
Growing up is hard.
That's why I never did it.
That's why I'm still planning for my future.
Why aren't you helping me with this? Because I know better. Or what do you know better?
Clearly, I live in the top, and we got there for a reason. It's
Oh.
And then it's also a story about the perpetuation of word that fell out of my head.
Class divide?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff is taught.
It absolutely is taught.
Yeah.
And I think, and part of the importance of telling stories is to talk about those situations and then work them through.
And I feel like there's extra details about the flower itself and how it's related to dragons could also play into why they've had trouble growing original seedlings in the sky gardens. Imagine the sky gardens don't have any fire. This environment has lots of fire, so maybe the key to having the flowers grow is fire.
It's also high up in the air.
Oh, it's ash. It grows it grows it grows best in ash.
Yeah.
Ash
and
of
also at low elevations.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes, because of the air content, the air quality, right?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, and of course, if it's frequently a smoky environment or what have you, I mean, the light quality is going to be different.
Yep.
And oh god, and the water situation.
This is just us knowing just enough about biology to get in trouble.
I
Yeah.
know.
Hey,
Well,
that's
okay,
Wait,
writing.
here's the.
Yeah,
But
that's
wait,
writing,
I want
yeah.
to go a little bit further with the flower thing because I want to steal Brendan's the banana thing.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so what if they've been growing these flowers in the top, right? They've created a variant that works well in the upper gardens, but of course it's bottlenecked. It's, it's now being affected by fungus or whatever, right?
Yep.
But that variant is what keeps dragons being docile, not necessarily trainable.
So
So-
stupid dragons.
Yes. They're like, oh, that's basically what dragons are good for. But people hope and believe on the lower levels, like, no, like they have capabilities like the wild ones do.
Yeah. So they've stopped the domestication around, like, when they started being able to follow simple commands.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and because, to be fair, using that variant that they've domesticated, oh my gosh, they've domesticated in the upper levels. I mean, that is basically what you can do. And maybe there are scientists on the upper level, really testing the boundaries of that, but that's garbage. It's garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That idea. So what happens if they find the flower? It looks sort of similar, but kind of different. And they're like, well, there's only one thing we can do. And they give it to their, pack dragon or whatever. And then suddenly the dragon kind of blinks and is like, yo, what's up?
Literally.
It's like, it's suddenly able to do a little bit more. And like everyone's a little bit like, wait a second, wait, we've tried this before with other dragons. This typically doesn't work like this.
Like,
You know,
shake, roll over, solve this binomial equation.
it doesn't have to be like a full on, because then you start getting into, well, where are the dragon, communities? Where are the dragon cultures? And maybe that's a sequel, because it wouldn't be a No Story is Sacred podcast if we didn't end up projecting an entire universe, with a multiple
it's called
book arc.
world building.
Yeah.
I think that would be really fascinating. And then you get this really nice maybe ending scene with, our main character like riding one of the dragons, which hasn't been, successful up to this point maybe. And like a whole swoop of other dragons plus, the bag of seedlings. Or you need a lot more than that, but whatever. We'll have to do some actual research into, gardening, I guess.
Huh.
What?
She
Research?
says, staring at her field of dead plants around her.
So we have like a lot about this like city environment and like the impetus for the plot and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Where does getting the flower kind of fit in here? Is it like toward the end when they actually get the legendary flower and the seedling or the seeds or something?
Well, so the adventure is supposed to be to find a lost flower. It doesn't say anything about, and then the rest of the story is about the themes of letting go of people and finding love and
Yeah.
defeat. Well, wait, there's still the defeating villains. Who is the villain to defeat?
Parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, the class divide.
Oh, wait. Yeah, the class divide. What if it's the beginning of, okay, having a clock running, right, in a story,
Uh-huh.
even if it's just a plot clock.
Always right twice. What?
What? It's related to the task. So what if fire season's coming and, the infrastructure along the bottom has not been doing well because they've been, money has been pouring into the top like it does.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of talk. The parents are distracted by trying to find non-dragon means to fix this. Okay? Because it does seem like a very particular kid adventure to be like, no, I'm gonna find a flower because mixing up like, weird information that you're getting from your upper story friend. I really like the idea of using upper story versus lower story. Your upper story friend being like, no, if you use flowers, you can, that's how we do that. It's like, oh, well, we can find our own flowers. And then you find out like there's these more things that get revealed. Meanwhile, the parents are doing things like, okay, so if we, start getting water reserves in now, some trenches, we need to Bob, do you have that new kind of concrete? How's that going?
Our estimates say we'll only lose like 10-20% of the lower levels. That's acceptable.
What's terrible is I keep thinking about what's going on in Texas right now.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, but here's the thing. Timely stories be timely.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
And part of the point of fiction is to find ways to grapple with bigger truths.
That's very true. But so I'm over here trying to put into words how to make real world terribleness into this fiction story, because there's so much that happened to make that.
So I don't like a popular trope in children's fiction is to get rid of the parents. I don't like that. I would like it if these parents were busy being, like, attending all these meetings, right? Like, they're trying their best here. And to be fair, like, the dragon solution is really far-fetched. Frankly, it's like asking my cat to help me with my taxes. You know, it's
Listen, Gabi has abilities.
She's a CPA
Smoochie
cat.
I wouldn't trust.
Well, I mean, or maybe more like, the taxes is a bit much, but like, for instance, if I expected Gabi to not be, my cat Goblin, to not be a lap cat, but I expected her to be able to, be a guard cat to, like, bark or meow really loudly if there were intruders. That's just not, maybe some cats can, mine can't. Or can she?
Well, Benji
With a
can
special
cook.
flower.
I'm going to have Benji cook dinner for me.
Yeah. Or like, even, like, is Benji a hunter? Or is he just a retriever type?
He's more of the seek and guard type.
Okay, but what if you were asking him to herd? Right?
Well, he does hurt.
Like, that's within the realm that dogs can do. We've seen it. But
Doesn't he herd you occasionally?
Sometimes.
reliably?
Oh. If he wants me to go into the kitchen so that I can get him a treat, then he's very good at hurting me.
I mean, so like, and maybe dragons do pop up, and maybe that's like, we've seen it happen. They do, like, to protect their own nests, let's say.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so we know that they can do it. But there's like this sort of ingrained belief in the upper stories that, you know, we've done all we can. This is as far as we can take them.
Here's the thing that a human has never gotten a dragon to do, and that's breathe fire on command.
Yeah.
The lifter dragons, they never breathe fire. It's weird, because they're docile, they're too docile, or whatever.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been something they've really been concerned about, because why would you want all that fire everywhere? That's a terrible idea in the city.
Whereas the people on the lower levels are like, guys,
We're
please.
gonna die. Come on.
There's so much smoke inhalation down here. And we've noticed that the amount of money coming from upstairs for things like ventilation gear is lowering.
And incidentally, I'm just imagining like extra utility you could do with just fire breathing on command. Like you get advanced metal smelting. You could have passenger aircraft, like dirigibles powered by dragon fire. That could be like a smaller dragon.
Well, also, and this is going to get really deep into the science, the chemicals involved in making dragon fire, I imagine, have some extra leftovers. And so what I'm saying is that you could probably have dirigibles using dragon farts. That's where I'm going with that.
Of course.
Thank you.
But Kat, what about the ethics of dragons?
I mean, I feel like that's a book 2 problem.
I mean, I've been desperately trying not to bring that up this entire time.
Listen, there's problems. Don't get me wrong. But then again, there's also problems with dogs, and there's the part where I can't read sad dog stories anymore. Those are definitely issues, but that's part of the reason why you have to look at things one at a time. What is the first immediate problem? The first immediate problem is, like,
we're dying.
Yeah, there's death everywhere.
Fire season is coming. It is going to be a bad one this year.
Yeah, it's going to be a bad one. We've, meanwhile, the statistician pops up and is like, take a look at my graphs.
Oh, what if like in one of the more southern latitudes or whatever, like they've already heard reports of how bad this year's fire season is because like a city was lost or something?
Ooh, collapse.
It's one of the things the adults aren't talking about around the kids.
But the kids know. They notice.
Something's up.
Okay, yeah, something's wrong. And that's part of where the pressure is coming from for our main character, who I'm going to say is named Leela. I don't know.
Hear that, Ponsonby? She can come up with pretty names, too.
Wow. You will be paying for that later, Aunt Pippi. So yeah,
not from Ponsonby. Ponsonby loves me.
So let's say Leela is noticing that things are getting tense. Maybe she's hearing whispered conversations. You know, the adults are all looking real tired. She is having to spend much more time being a latchkey kid than she did previously. Like, honey, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to make your own dinner tonight. Your mom and I have to go to, another committee meeting. It's like, what's this one about? Don't worry about it, honey. Let's not eat all the meat tonight. We might need that for later.
Oh.
Stuff like that. And that's why she's talking to her friend, you know, because you talk, right? You talk to who you know. And if, you know, you're part of this working class, literally, you know, you're having discussions with your friend on the upper stories. And she's like, well, this is what I'm hearing, which, you know, my parents are kind of like, they don't seem to be that worried, but here's what I know about flowers. Because they talk about it a lot for some reason.
Well, it's a children's story about how the lifter dragons came to be. It's like, oh yeah, we have the magical flowers that the upper reaches have that help us have these dragons, and we can construct the wonders of the city. Yay!
Yeah, and then they go into one of the gardens and they look at them. And they talk about it a lot, which is a nice, you know, you can get some description, some world building in there. But you also see some of the leaves are yellowing.
Yep.
And then he's like, what's that about? And it's like, oh, you know, we call it, you know, some cutesy name for something intensely dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, for fungus. And that's actually a job that the kids are supposed to have when you're little, is you go around and you pluck those off. And you get a quarter for everyone you bring in.
Yep.
Because that's to be fair, that thinking of Texas, that's what, was it? Grandma, one of our grandparents used to have us do that with, the beetles. So it'd show up on her rose bushes. We would have to go out and collect them.
Yeah, a little soapy dish. Yeah.
Yep, and she would give us money for it, and that was weirdly fun.
I believe that would be a you and Bren thing. I have no memory of this.
Well, but we never. I don't think we were ever in Texas as when we were little.
Oh, that's a New York thing.
We went
Yeah, this is in New York.
Further south. That one, I would find the little shells of cicadas.
Yep.
And collect those.
Gross.
Also, we went there when we were like 4 for Christmas.
Did we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a big family trip.
Oh, yeah.
I have a memory of the gumdrop tree.
I know, because the gumdrop tree was amazing.
Gumdrops are disgusting, but that tree was real pretty.
Anyway.
Not the point.
Actually, Texas is really nice for Christmas time. Just putting it out there.
Yeah, it was. That
In the after times, y'all.
Yeah, after times.
Yeah. We can go back to Denison. It'll be great.
Yeah, we can go back to the old playground. We have photos. We can try to identify it.
We can rent a little house.
Anyway.
None of this is the point.
None of this is the point. But welcome to another McDonald's Siblings Memory
TMI.
Lane. It's a TMI Memory Lane. It sounds like Memory Lane Inc., but Memory Lane TMI. All right. So we have a main character.
Yep. Leela.
Lower class. Or I'm sorry, lower story.
Not a metaphor for anything.
It's supposed to be middle grade, so we can be on the nose with our class metaphors.
Oh, absolutely. There's some shenanigans going on amongst the adults. Fire season is coming. She decides that clearly she has to do her part too.
Like any good kid, your parents are stressed, you want to help.
Exactly.
You're just bad at it.
But she has an idea that the parents don't necessarily, like, to be fair, it's a little wacky. She's like, I'm gonna go find our own flower so we can domesticate dragons so we can stop the fire. And her parents are like, right, in the next week and a half. Okay. Honey, how about you stay home and do your homework?
Do we have her run away? Or
I think that's an absolute yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure that was clarified. Otherwise, it'd be like finding an excuse to have the parents be gone for a few days with this committee stuff.
No, she does not think of it as running away, though, whatever happens.
Oh, absolutely not. Her parents are out of their minds with worry.
Oh, guys. I just had an idea for like, kind of like the action climax.
Yes.
Fire season is here. And it's make or break for Leela. The fires are like starting to like surround the area.
Make or fire break?
Yes. That's exactly what I was going for, Al.
Yes.
Because just imagine like the triumphant, like, I was right. This outlandish, foolish plan was correct.
Oh, and also the great visual of just streams of fire.
Yeah.
Pinpoint precision as the dragons wheel overhead, like with her in the center.
Like, I'm just imagining, like, if this was like a movie, you'd have like kind of like her like cowering from the flames and all that, but then just that snap decision moment where it's like, no, I'm going to do this. And then you have that triumphant stand up, grab the flower, face the fire.
Oh, nice.
Raise up the flower to the sky.
That's your cover art.
Oh, yeah.
Face the fire is just a great phrase.
I mean...
And a title.
But that's a good image. And it's always good to aim for for me, it's always good to aim for an image.
Because I think one of the other things we could be doing with this book, or like letting go of, like, say, a toxic person, is that our main character has always been kind of like unsure of herself this entire time. Like, I'm just saying, like, this conclusion is almost like that, like, apotheosis moment. Is that?
Yes. I don't know if that's the right word, but that's definitely a word that I feel is right. But yeah, you were saying that this is like the climactic moment, the some kind of thematic word that we can't remember.
Yeah.
How many of us are English majors?
3 of you.
Yep. I'm a professional writer, and yet here we are.
Whoops.
What? You know, it's that important part. Writing that down. The important part. I am a wordsmith.
The problem with having a large vocabulary is that we kind of get, stuck on which one to use.
Listen, thingy is a great word that works in so many situations.
Well, as I end up having to say in one of my panels from last week, aphasia is the one word I can consistently remember.
I remember that. That was a good line.
Thank you. It's my go-to because honestly, it's so necessary. But yeah, I agree. I think that that's a good, strong arc too.
Yeah. I always like to try to imagine, like, what is the moment that, that peak moment of the story, like something you are trying to build to, whatever.
You know what I'm reminded of, actually? Is I just rewatched Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And
good choice.
Thank you. Which also was a great movie for young women to watch. Leaving aside some of the, violence. Whatever.
But wait a minute. All these weird guys on the internet say it was bad.
Listen, CinemaSins is not invited to our party.
Ho-ho.
Anyway, call out.
Dang.
Gonna sip my dang tea. So, that moment that you're describing, Brendan, happens in that movie when this whole time she's been, told that the powers that were granted to her were from, the aliens, that, she's a weak human, that she has to, she has these things that are holding her back just because of who she is. And she gets shown these images of being a weak human girl is kind of the implication, where she falls, she gets told she's not good enough. And then the moment that you're talking about is when she remembers the rest of each of those memories. And it's the girl herself as a child throughout her life, standing back up again, staring straight at the camera and trying again. And triumphing. And it's like, I'd forgotten that scene. And then, I was almost in tears. It chills. And it was just so powerful. And that's the moment you want to hit for, I think, in this story. Is standing back up again, or standing up for the first time.
See, that's why I think the love you find is the love for yourself.
I think you're right. On that. Who's the villain? Because we have to defeat some villains, apparently.
Well, we tried making the villain her friend who's from the upper stories.
Well, but I think specifically that friend's parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's kind of amorphous.
To be fair, we could just say we were given an outline, and sometimes outlines aren't, as you're writing, you change.
If the story's good enough, you don't care that the villain is more of the, more likely just the system man.
I mean, the villain is the system.
Yeah, the system is a pretty good villain.
I am inclined to say that it was Agatha all along.
Spoiler.
Come at me.
At this point, everyone's like, gasp, what? But
although also you get to explain to Ponsonby that you said, well, it's an outline.
Yeah, that's true. But
or we could just, have a antagonist that's chasing them, mysterious.
That's a good point. Oh my gosh, you're right. There could be a mysterious antagonist chasing them. Not with a mask. But
maybe it's the cops.
What if it is the cops? Remember, her parents think she ran away.
But
what
like,
if it's just adults?
could it be like an agent of like the toxic friend's parents or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember, they're upper class. Like, because remember, the upper story kid ran away too. Which one's more important? Quote unquote, more important. So who has the resources to send somebody after them?
Is this like when our character lets her go? Is like when the friend's like, "Nah, I'm going with them," and
Ooh, yeah.
and things the villains being villains, they're doing things they think for the right reasons,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like,
What if she tries to pressure her into coming back too? Or what if she tries to trap Leela into getting picked up by the bodyguard?
they're exactly, yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like, look, it's
for
dangerous.
your own good.
Yeah, it's for your own good.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, just do what you're told.
Yeah. Like, this was fun, but it's not really, like,
It was
but
a
clearly,
dream.
It was a dream, and also, like, what did you think we were going to accomplish here?
Nothing.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan in fiction, especially young adult children's fiction, of recognizing bad relationships,
Oh yeah.
bad friendships,
Oh, yeah.
and noping out.
This
Yeah.
is really good. I like this.
And I'm just imagining like the toxic friend says a line that is kind of like a stark contrast to the eventual apotheosis moment later on.
Yes, definitely.
Oh yeah.
And it's close
Yeah.
enough that you can clearly remember that just happened not too long ago in the plot.
Well, also, though, I hate to say it, but I do love the idea of, as you're reading this, she's being framed as the best friend. And as you go through the story, you, along with the main character, are realizing, first of all, you get the same feeling of betrayal as we've talked about, or as I've talked about anyway, the idea of medium as the message. You are feeling the same kind of, this is also my best friend, because you are trained to read that way. And then as the story progresses, you feel the same betrayal Leela does, the same surprise. And then you have to also go through the process of letting that character go and realizing that they are a problem. And that can hurt. That can hurt as a reader. But that's part of why it hurts a lot more in real life. And that's why you kind of inoculate yourself with fiction. For my part, I feel like a responsibility of fiction specifically for children is to help that process.
Yeah.
Is to
Here
help
are
that
some-
inoculation.
Here are some really heavy social things that you'll probably have to encounter much sooner than you think.
Yeah. It bring it back to Terry Pratchett. It reminds me of a line from Terry Pratchett from like Hogfather, I think, where we teach kids to accept the little lies so that they can accept the big ones. So you teach them that the Hogfather, that you have to be good for the Hogfather so you can believe bigger rules like that truth and justice exist.
Oh, that's a great scene.
Yeah.
It is.
And so you teach kids, like, you feel this betrayal, you feel how to get over this betrayal or how to recognize it in this book. And so that when it happens to you in real life, which is going to be worse because it's real, but you have the tools, you have at least the inkling of the tools of what to do with it.
Then this has been today's segment of why fiction is important.
A subset of Cat makes a speech.
Yeah, seriously. The part where I talk in paragraphs, not pithy epigrams, Pippin.
Can't be as good as me, and you need to accept that.
This is why you're better at Twitter than me. You're also much more quotable.
So going back to Bodyguard. So a scene I would like to see is the fire's getting close because, yeah. And she's in danger, and she's like, hey, you're an adult, help me? And like, sorry, I only need to pick up one of you.
Oh, that seems a bit rough.
Oh, like a cowardly douchebag maneuver.
Yes.
I don't know.
But
That one seems going back to the idea that humans are humans.
yeah.
I mean, even if you were being paid by some upper story people to pick up one kid, would you genuinely try to leave the other kid behind?
I mean, how annoying is that other kid?
To be fair, but I'd be much more likely to, I hate to say it, I'd be much more likely to like knock them out and stick them on the back of my transport.
Dragon.
Yeah, and then the kid wakes up halfway through and is like, what? They were the baddies all along?
The real baddies are the friends we made along the way.
Also, to me, that's much more of a relatable thing that happens to children. You don't have a lot of bodily autonomy. If an adult wants to take you somewhere, most of the time they are literally able to pick you up and take you.
Fair enough.
I mean, that's true.
And that can be a huge betrayal. And also it's kind of a kick in the head when you realize, oh wait, I thought I was my own person. And that might just be a writing difference. That's how I would take that. I wouldn't say that that's a necessary part of the overall, let's discuss the story. That might just be a flavor difference between writers.
Fair enough.
But I wouldn't do that. I would be more inclined to say, like, well, you don't have to go happily, but you gotta come.
Personally, I think maybe it's a bit too heavy for a children's novel, but...
Yeah. I mean, so it goes back and forth.
I guess maybe you could have, like, the bodyguard kind of, you know, again, trying to be hero of his own story. It's like, jump down to me. I can get us both out of here. I can run.
There you go.
But, like, she has that choice of, like, she's pretty sure, according to the legend, the Grove is not too far. Again, another choice. And that's where the kind of apotheosis moment comes, because she's thinking after this choice, like, I made the worst decision of my young life. I am surrounded by fire. I'm about to die.
Yeah.
And then
like
finds
that.
confidence and does the standing up and all that good stuff.
I like that idea. So the hero of your own story. So you know, he's not trying to leave a kid behind, but like, if you literally can't get at her and she has to agree to jumping or whatever.
Yeah. It's
and
like,
she decides not to, it's like, oh, well, okay.
it's like trust fall of the system, or kind of the leap of faith towards the Grove.
Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that. The trust fall of the system or the leap of faith.
Yeah.
For the nice. For the dream.
Living the dream,
versus
man.
the system. I like that a lot.
And again, shortly afterwards, it is thought of, at least in the short term, as a very terrible mistake that she made, because, oh crap,
definitely.
there's now fire everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah, no, I agree. Well, and the nice thing is that also that adds a lot of nice action.
Yep.
I mean, that's where part of the defeating the villain thing is. Like, that gets your action into the story. They're being chased. There's also a ticking timer. There's also a task. I mean, that all points to, guys, this is an adventure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Adventure!
Hey,
you know,
so...
with the fire everywhere, too, like, that could be part of the reveal when she's at her lowest moment, being surrounded by fire. Is, like, she notices, like, the fire is actually, like, causing this group of flowers to actually bloom.
Yes.
And that reveals the flowers that she saw in the earlier scene, but they look much more vibrant and alive.
Oh my gosh, wait. And it's also thematic, okay? Because, they bloom in adversity.
Aww.
What?
Ooh.
What?
Is the flower a metaphor for herself?
Yes! And also, of course, fire tempers steel, right? Right? Makes you stronger, etc. But I like my flower one better, so let's pretend I said that one last. But it blooms in adversity. I like that. And then that's her deal too, man. And it's okay to be heavy-handed.
Oh, yeah.
I'm partially because I've realized that my idea of heavy-handed to everyone else still reads as intensely obscure.
Huh.
So I've had to learn to be really, to what I think is very obvious. And that
also
brings it to vaguely appropriate.
To paint the scene fully, you also have, like, the roaring of dragons in the distance along with the inferno.
Yes!
So it plants the fact that she can summon the dragon with the flower.
Yes!
There we go.
Like it. Guys, I think that we have done, if I do say so myself, a great job of plotting out a really great story that I always do this. I know I always do this. I really want to write it.
Here's the thing. Ponsonby might hold you to it.
I mean, maybe she will. And then, in which case, congratulations, listeners. You now know how to get me to write something. Send an email to contact@nostoriasecret.com addressed Dear Ponsonby.
Pretty please.
Yeah, so, quick question. We've done a lot with this. Our traditional game for any of these ones where we're, usually for Wheel of Tropes, but I think we can do that for this as well, is, do we have a title?
Well, I already suggested Face the Fire.
I kind of like Firebreak, because if you don't necessarily know what it is, it also has like a broken thing. I don't know.
Fire Lily.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Fire Lily's pretty good. Pippin, what you got?
You think I would have been thinking about this whole time?
I mean, possibly.
Is there something we could work in about dragons?
I mean, Dragonfire is good. It's a little bland.
True. It sounds very, stock fantasy.
Yeah.
Dragonash? Nah, that sounds weird.
Yeah, it sounds a little bit like, it's something you spread on your flowers. To be fair, I mean, oh my gosh, what if dragon poop, when you set it on fire, is the perfect fertilizer for the flowers?
There we go.
And people didn't realize that's why it's a symbiotic environment, man. And you know what? It's educational too. We're teaching the kids about poop.
I mean, someone's got to. Oh, man. Forged in Fire now.
That's a TV show, Pippin.
Listen. Oh, man.
We could do one of those really long titles. Those are getting, I wouldn't say popular, but you can do some neat stuff with them. What I like to call fanfic titles.
Wait, what about your usual prompts for titles? We can have Pippin be the one to answer them this time.
Ooh, okay. What are my usual prompts for titles? Pippin, what are the themes of the problem is we know what the themes of these stories are. Oh, but hey, Pippin, what are the themes? What are the central images, the feelings you want to take away from the story?
Well, there's adventure. Mm-hmm. There's freedom.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, freedom, yeah.
Freedom from the class system, freedom from toxicity, freedom from fire.
Mm-hmm.
There's a sense of family and finding out who to trust like family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because usually, I'm all for found families.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a sort of situation where like, no.
And I mean, I think that's an important lesson because we have been valorizing found families for a bit now. And it's like, well, actually though, sometimes they're awful.
Mm.
Like any company that tells you, we're like a family.
Oh.
Yeah. Oof.
Avoid that like the plague.
Mm-hmm.
So, Found in Fire?
Found in Fire,
That does kind of check some of the boxes of adventure, the quest to find the flower.
Mm-hmm.
Found in Flames.
Ooh, Found in Flames is nice. And then you're finding yourself as well. You're finding the flower, you're finding yourself. And of course, as we mentioned, she is the flower. I think we mentioned
that. The flower is the self we found along the way.
Blooming in adversity. Found in Flames, I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Because imagine the cover art. You got a young girl, she's got a lily-like flower, like, in her right hand, maybe.
Yep.
And in her left hand, she's raising up her left hand and a dragon is floating sort of in the background above it. So it looks like she's raising the dragon. And behind all of that is just flames.
Everywhere.
And maybe like, and there's flames and then behind that are like the tall city spires.
Oh yeah.
Flames on the side of my face.
I think you don't know what the heck's going on quite yet, but you know that there's going to be like some badass scene like that at some point.
Mm-hmm. And the edges of the cover are like, I don't want to say ivy because I don't know exactly what this plant looks like necessarily. Unless it's like a ground hugger. Like what if it's like kudzu? But some kind of plant thing, because again, that is part of the adventure is literally, it's about this flower. But you have and the girl's just staring straight out at the reader. Like a very, we're seeing her at the top. Like that's the moment that Brendan, you were talking about earlier. And that's the thing that we want to capture readers with. Like, that's what we want to get to.
I imagine there's also like an overlay of like embers and all that.
Yeah, stuff like that. You could do some cool stuff. But in that case, if you think of the title Found in Flames and you got that going on, I could see that. Oh, wait. guys, if we're going to get properly middle grade fantasy series.
Yeah.
If we want to talk about the rights and responsibilities of dragon ownership, that means it's got to be a series, which means it's got to have a series name. Okay?
Uh-huh.
So what if it's something like, The Dragonfire Chronicles Found in Flames?
The dragon, whatever you said,
Fire
sounds
Chronicles.
familiar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, something, Found in Flame.
Ember Spires.
Ooh. Which is a first kind of, like, clearly this is the beginning of the hero's journey, Found in Flames or whatever. This is an origin story for our hero.
We can retcon the series name after the fact, though, because you don't want to necessarily pitch to a publisher, hey, invest in this brand new IP. And by the way, will you also buy the rest of the series? Please, 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 please.
Yeah, it always looks kind of, I mean, unless you know there's a 3-book deal out there,
which
it always looks a little iffy to see, like, on a manuscript, the series
book
title.
1 of 27.
You do let them know that you have more ideas, though.
Oh, yeah. But it's like, speaking as a consumer, if you see a series title like that, there had better be more books in the works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause otherwise it's like people who put way too many subclauses in their subtitles of their academic papers.
Nobody has time for that.
No.
Actually, there is a direct correlation to how long your academic paper is and how much less it gets cited.
By McDonald et al.
Oh man. Okay, so, I mean, do we like Found in Flames?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's the special whatever. I am going to tell Ponsonby about this, and depending on how this recording turns out, I may even let her listen to it. What? And let's find out what she says about the title. Because she may come back with something that's better than all of us.
No, we're pretty amazing.
Also, I love her dearly.
But
no matter what she says, she's going to think it's better than anything.
It's true.
We came up with.
Wow. All right. How about this? If it actually is, I'll tell you guys. How about that? Good?
All right.
Okay.
Ponsonby, I believe in you. I know you can come up with anything better.
You literally just said you didn't believe she would.
I acknowledge that it was a possibility of other lesser nieces, but my nieces.
I'm sorry. You have
my
two.
nieces are amazing.
Okay.
I'm talking about other people's nieces.
I see.
Maybe they wouldn't be able to.
Uh-huh.
And I have to acknowledge it as a possibility because a lot of people listen to this podcast and they don't have my nieces.
I see. Okay. We'll see. We'll see about this. We'll see if she goes for that Aunt Pippin.
Listen, you can't influence her either way.
You're gonna get a phone call like a couple weeks from now. Be like, Aunt Pippin. Alright, guys, this was amazing. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah. How y'all feeling?
Yeah.
Good.
Here's the thing. Lizzo started going in my head the moment you asked the question.
Okay.
Because, baby, how you doing?
Oh, I see.
Good
Okay.
as hell.
Well, now I gotta go listen to Lizzo.
Good.
Yeah. Alright, so, we've done the game, we've done the story, are we ready to head on out?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Sure.
Okay.
So before we go, do we have anything to plug?
Ooh, well, I actually know when my new short story is coming out. It's going to come out from Apex. It's called Demon Fighter Sucks. And it's going to be an Apex issue number 123, which I believe is coming out in May. And it will then be available online sometime in May and June. It's one that's going to kind of hurt to publish, guys. Because it's about losing your mother. And I wrote it and sold it before we lost our mother. So this is the first story that I've gotten published since then, and it kind of hurts. But to be fair, I'm really proud of it. So I encourage people to keep an eye out for it. Yeah. Demon Fighter Sucks from Apex. Coming soon.
Cool. And I just have my usual shows. I don't have an exact date for the next one yet, but I will eventually. Check Twitter or Facebook or whatever.
Hey, twins, what you got?
Just chilling.
Yeah.
You know, so I've just stopped asking you individually.
You'll be sorry that we actually have something. Pip, do we have?
This is gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be so bad.
5 years later.
Pip, do we have something?
We're just generally better than them. Can we say that?
Wow.
I mean, yeah, let's go with that.
Do something and prove it.
Yeah, prove it.
Prove it.
This is our stage whisper.
Get your own.
Oh, I thought there was room under this table.
I was about to make that joke.
Oh no.
It's gonna be really bad the day that the two of them, like, Bren, I would not be surprised if they, like, planned to do something together, so it wasn't just one of them had news, but they both, and so they could be both equally indignant. But, you know, it's going to be so long from now because they won't. So, guess I don't have to worry about that for a while.
So that's what we got coming up.
Their, actual creative stuff, my and Al's eventual revenge.
So, as always, if you have an idea or prompt to submit, head on over to nostoryissacred.com/submission, including things like what we did today. Follow us on Twitter at nostoryiссacred or send an email through contact@nostoryiссacred.com. Your hosts have been Alex McDonald, Brendan McDonald, Pippin McDonald, and Catherine Creighton. Editing and music for this episode done by Brendan. Transcript done by Ashley DaCosta. Art by Jay Wolf. Show notes and transcript are available at nostoryiссacred.com. Thanks for listening, everyone, and please rate, review, and subscribe to No Story is Sacred. You can also visit our Patreon page to support the show and get neat rewards at patreon.com/nostoryiссacred. See you next time when we talk about the amazing, the astonishing, A Knight's Tale. Because I need me some Paul Bettany playing Chaucer.
You need you some, no, I won't go there.
Until then, we're No Story is Sacred, and any story can be changed. I'm Kat.
I'm Brendan.
I'm Pippin.
And I'm Alex.
And we're
No Story is Sacred.